There have been very few trilogies that I can think of that are near perfect. One of those would be the Lord of the Rings movies. A couple others would be the How to Train Your Dragon series, as well as Indiana Jones. But just the first three, Crystal Skull and Dial of Dysentery, do not count. So most trilogies are really not that good. Sam Raimi failed with the Spider-Man trilogy, at least with the third Spider-Man, and Christopher Nolan failed with The Dark Knight Rises. But the Planet of the Apes prequel trilogy is one of the most unique trilogies because it's a prequel to the movie The Planet of the Apes, but it's also amazingly entertaining and incredibly well written. Now I've only seen Rise of the Planet of the Apes once. I probably do need to revisit that one because I didn't like it very much the first time I watched it. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was very, very good, one that I would absolutely watch again. But War for the Planet of the Apes was somehow even better than Dawn. Now keep this in mind. This is coming from somebody who hasn't even seen the original Planet of the Apes. I saw the Tim Burton version with my dad, but the 1960s version I did not get a chance to see yet. And the Tim Burton version, of course, was really weird. Now, the story starts out thusly. There's a huge battle between a few humans and a lot of apes. Caesar, our main monkey, apparently has been fighting a war with humans for a few years now. Or at least that's what I took away from it. He's trying to make peace and trying to end the war because, of course, he didn't start it. Koba started it. But the plot starts to thicken as soon as Caesar's wife and son are killed by an unknown assailant. And that is the catalyst for Caesar going out to get revenge, as well as leading his people, wink wink, out of their current home and trying to find a new one. And I will leave it at that. What's most impressive about War for the Planet of the Apes, though, is how well written it was. One thing that I find kind of ironic is the fact that there hasn't been a single human character who has been consistently cast in the Planet of the Apes series. James Franco probably died in the first movie after the virus spread to the whole planet, and Gary Oldman and the guy what's-his-face who was trying to get Caesar's help to create a better life for the humans after the apocalypse, those two probably died, or who knows what happened to him, but it doesn't really matter because presumably they're dead. And what I find most impressive is that even though certain characters don't spend a lot of time in this movie, their impact on the story, however brief, is very, very effective. The Colonel's character, for instance, is one of the best villains I've seen in recent memory. And the reason why is because he is the type of villain that you understand the things that motivate him, and at the same time, you ask yourself, would I have done the same thing if I were in their position? His character is not a devil clothed in a black suit where it's obvious that they're the bad guy, but rather, I think some of the best villains are the ones that are the most human, the ones that show you, yes, they do have a heart, and they've made some incredibly hard and evil choices. And for a character that is only going to be here for one movie, the Colonel's character was incredibly, incredibly well written for how small of a role it really was. And there aren't many moments where he says things in the movie. As the great William Shakespeare once said, brevity is the soul of wit. And it's not just the Colonel's character that's filled with depth, though. It would be like the white gorilla, Winter, who betrayed Caesar and his clan to help the humans, but he had a good reason to do so. And then you have this new character, Bad Ape. A character that comes along because he's necessary to help further the plot, but still, they give him some amazing depth as well. Not only is he funny, and a good comedic relief, he does have a tragic background that balances out how funny he can be. And truthfully, he is a breath of fresh air in a movie that is pretty bleak and depressing. I'm about to go see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and I'm very excited to see that movie. So far, all of these Planet of the Apes movies have been quite amazing. And I have to say, this is probably one of the best trilogies that has ever come about. What's even more impressive about it is the fact that they could have stopped at Rise of the Planet of the Apes, but instead of stopping there, they continued to go on to explore even more of the history behind what happened before the humans arrived back on planet Earth from the space shuttle. They didn't need to explain how the war happened. They didn't even need to show the war between the humans and the apes. They didn't even need to say anything, really, after there was a virus that wiped out humanity. One of my favorite series is the series Castlevania on Netflix. It's one of the best series I've ever seen, not just because of the fact that the animation, the voice acting, and the story were all amazing, but also because of the fact that after the second season, you kind of have to say to yourself, or at least this is what I thought to myself and asked myself, well, now where the hell are they going to go with this? But once season 3 came around for Castlevania, I said to myself, I was wrong to doubt, and I'm very impressed, and I'm glad that they continued on with this. And I have the exact same feeling with these movies. I'm glad they didn't stop at Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and they kept it going with Dawn and War, because both of those movies were incredible, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. War for the Planet of the Apes gets 5 stars out of 5.